What is good, everyone? We are here yet again for another video on this channel. Today we're going to be checking out another video about the US military. Now, more specifically, it's going to be about how the US military smoked Russian mercenaries. Now, this one's going to be kind of interesting though, because this is kind of different than the stuff that I usually do react to. But yeah, I'm kind of excited to see what this video has in store. If you do enjoy this reaction and you want to watch more maybe, be sure to like the video and also subscribe to the channel if you want to check out more videos from me in the future. It really does help me out and I do appreciate everyone that presses the subscribe button. You fancy any gaming videos as well? I've got a gaming channel which has kind of like just been lost and forgotten about, but I'm gonna try and, you know, make some more gaming videos because I actually really enjoyed making them, even though it took like 15 hours of editing per one video. I'm gonna try and make some more because they are hilarious. I don't want to be, you know, upping myself up, like I'm not an egotistical person, but they are fucking hilarious videos. I don't know if I've got the same humor as most people, but they were fun and they were funny, I would say. But yeah, let's cut the chit chat and get right into this video.
When the first vehicle in the convoy suddenly blew up, the Russian mercenaries knew something was wrong. Their objective, to capture an oil field in eastern Syria, was supposed to be a routine mission. The enemy, they knew by then, would have fled long ago at the sight of 500 battle-hardened Russian and Syrian fighters. But instead, the attack had come to an abrupt halt, and explosion after explosion shook the ground. It wasn't long before AC-130 gunships, Predator drones, Apache helicopters, and fighter jets were circling over the battlefield, pounding the attackers from every imaginable angle.
Oh my days.
What the Russian forces didn't know was that the oil field was not defended by any fighters, but by American Special Operations Forces, supported by the most powerful air force in the world.
Oh, okay, well that's...
In a few minutes, the routine mission turned into hell on earth and into one of the deadliest engagements for the notorious Russian mercenary group Wagner.
Oh right, it's Wagner or whatever you call them. I wasn't really sure about Russian mercenaries, like just some random ass group that just, you know, were out and about. I mean, I just want to say, like, if you are meeting or coming up against US Special Forces, so we're talking Navy SEALs, we're talking Delta Force, what else is there? I'm usually good at this type of shit. Yeah, whatever. You know, Special Forces, as well as their armory and their machines. I mean, you are fucked, mate. You are dead. And let's be real here. Looking at these lot, okay, they do not look that sophisticated or that developed, I would call it, in their military style or their military, you know, their military outlook. It doesn't look like they've got a lot of development going on, and you know, they're not up there compared to America.
To stop the rapid advance of the self-proclaimed Islamic State, the U.S. had deployed troops in Syria since 2014. They supported the so-called Syrian Democratic Forces, or SDF. A year later, Russia also intervened in the fight against ISIS, but on the side of Assad's Syrian government forces. The SDF and the Syrian army were never seen as allies, but in keeping with the saying, "the enemy of my enemy is my friend," both parties at least mostly avoided each other.
Okay, so they weren't
After years of fighting,
really
both armies managed to drive out the terrorists, and by 2018, ISIS held only a fraction of its original bases. To prevent an unintended conflict between Russian and U.S.-supported armies, a deconfliction line was formed along the Euphrates River, which effectively bisects Syria. In addition, both parties were able to contact each other through special telephone channels that were kept clear at any time. But despite all these precautions, on February 7th, just a few miles from the Euphrates River, the first deadly clash between Russians and Americans since the Cold War occurred.
Oh shit.
Late in the evening of February 7th, 2018, 500 Russian and Syrian fighters attacked an SDF military base.
500?
The base was located about 5 miles east of the Euphrates River.
But why would they do that?
The country's main oil fields.
Okay, there it
is.
is.
Like most oil fields, the area was
Probably
officially
because
on
of the
the
oil.
Syrian Democratic side of the ceasefire line. But this did not stop the Syrian-Russian troops in any way. The attackers were supported by various Russian-made battle tanks, as well as mortars, artillery, and rocket launchers, with which they began shelling the
Oh,
SDF
shit.
base without warning.
Wait, why would
In
you
addition,
shell that
Russian
though?
Air Force aircraft were on standby to provide air support, but initially remained on the ground.
That's the frog foot, isn't it?
However, while everything was initially going according to plan for the attacking forces,
Pretty sure
the
those
phone
are
suddenly
shit
rang
planes.
in the Russian headquarters near the Euphrates. A
Oh.
representative of the U.S. military was on the line and wanted to know whether Russian fighters were currently trying to take the military base at the Conoco oil fields.
Yeah, why?
Here, not
I don't
only the
understand
Syrian
it.
Democratic Forces were under heavy artillery fire, but also their allies, American Green Berets, Army Rangers, Marines,
Green
and
Berets,
various
you're
support
fine.
units. After the Russians had explicitly denied the question whether the enemy were their troops, it was clear to the caller. Whoever was currently taking fire at his soldiers, he would feel the full force of the American military in just
Oh
a
yeah,
few moments.
you don't fucked up.
The response to the attack on their
That is,
military base was prompt and
Not something you want to
tremendous.
realize.
Even
to be
before
honest.
the Russian convoy reached its starting position for the attack, the first and last vehicles were taken out in a classic
Holy
ambush
shit!
maneuver,
What a
trapping the
fucking
forces
bomb
in
that
the middle.
is.
The missiles came from an American Reaper drone, which had been targeting the convoy for some time.
That's
However,
crazy.
to the Russian Wagner mercenaries on the ground, the drone was invisible, and they had a hard time understanding
Oh
where the
my
fire
God.
suddenly came from.
Bro, imagine, like, it's insane to me that drones are weaponized. I mean, obviously they've been weaponized for a long time, and that's probably something that's not new, really. I mean, it's so efficient, though. Like, you have a drone, obviously it costs a shit ton of money to build them, but there's no life, right? You don't have to spend money teaching someone how to operate the plane or the aircraft. You don't have to spend a shit ton of money feeding them and doing all this running costs that you'd probably have to get a pilot out there to drop the bombs and to fly around and you know, fly out towards them. Bro, having a fucking drone to do all that, I feel like it's just OP, you know what I mean? It's overpowered. Like, what are you supposed to do about that? Like, yeah, you shoot it down after it's blown you to smithereens. They'll probably just send another one out. They're kind of expendable, aren't they? They cost a lot of money, but they can get shot down, let's be real. Like, who gives a shit, really? It's just a bit of metal and a fucking computer. Like, the warfare in, like, 20 years, if it's just not going to be about nukes and shit, it's just going to be drones and robots and a bunch of other shit where it's all about just metal against metal fighting each other. That's essentially how it's going to be in the future, man. Yeah, I kind of feel sorry for these lot, because it's like, they didn't really, I mean, they probably knew what they were getting themselves into, but, I mean, most of them, if you probably weren't like a high commanding chief in the Wagner group or whatever, you probably just thought, oh, we're just gonna do this, we're just gonna attack this spot, maybe take it over or whatever. And before they even did their fucking attack or whatever, you get blown up. But this just shows how ahead of the curve America is when it comes down to raw firepower. I mean, you can't really take this into like a 1v1, like Russian mercenaries against the whole US military. Yeah, you can't really use that as a comparison. But still, it just shows like if you piss America off, or if you do something that you're not allowed to do, be prepared to blow the fuck up. That should be like America's like national saying or some shit.
It didn't take long for more shells to hit, spreading chaos on the battlefield. American artillery and HIMARS rocket launchers engaged the convoy, inflicting numerous casualties.
Damn, look at that.
While the Russian forces were still trying to realize what was happening, 4 Apache helicopters appeared on the horizon. Although the gunships were several miles away, no one could hide from their precise infrared optics. Laser-guided Hellfire missiles found their target in the Russian battle tanks, while the 30mm cannon forced the enemy infantry to withdraw. Few of them were able to escape the explosive shells, and a Russian survivor later reported that they suffered about 200 casualties within the first few minutes. Almost half of the entire attack force. The reports that are on
200 in a few
TV about,
minutes.
well, you know, about Syria and the 25 people that are wounded there from the Syrian army, and, well, to make it short, we've had our kicked. So one squadron lost 200 people.
What?
Right away, another one lost 10 people.
Quoting
And
someone.
I don't know about the 3rd squadron, but it got torn up pretty badly too.
Damn.
So 3 squadrons took a beating. The Yankees attacked. First, they blasted the out of us by artillery. And then they took 4 helicopters up and pushed us in a merry-go-round with
He's
heavy
got the
caliber
A10
machine
Warthog
guns. They were all
sound
shelling the holy
to censor it.
and our guys didn't have anything
funny.
besides the assault rifles. Nothing at all, not even mentioning shoulder-fired SAMs or anything like that. So they tore us to pieces for sure, put us through hell. And the Yankees knew for sure that the Russians were coming, that it was us, Russians. Our guys were coming to commandeer an oil refinery, and the Yankees were holding it. We got our
Yeah, you
robbed.
need some better
Men called
intel
me,
than that.
and they're there
Like,
drinking
than
now.
what you had.
Many have gone missing.
You better
It's a
fucking know if
total
it's America holding it down or
sucks.
not.
Another takedown. While AC-130 gunships circled over the battlefield engaging individual targets, large B-52 strategic
Oh
bombers
my
completely
days.
destroyed the convoy. Those who managed to escape hid in buildings, but even there they were not safe for long.
Crazy.
Late into the night, the attackers were hunted by F-15 fighter jets, whose bombs penetrated even the best cover. The new fifth-generation air superiority fighter F-22 Raptor was also used, but for the soldiers on the ground, it no longer made any difference who was pounding them. The Russian contractors did not stand a chance against the American Air Force. Although there were rumors that some pilots from the nearby Russian air base were asking for permission to take off, the blue-painted
Ooh.
Su-34s and 35s remained on the ground. The attackers' casualties were so heavy that in the middle of the battle, one of the Russian commanders called in and asked for a ceasefire, indicating that Russian military was in contact with the attacking fighters after all.
Okay.
A published
well,
call
that's,
from a Wagner mercenary sums up events in Syria. So they basically formed a convoy, but didn't get to their positions by some 300 meters. One unit moved forward. The convoy remained in place about 300 meters from the others. The others raised the American flag, and their
What?
artillery started ours really hard. Then their choppers flew in and started everybody.
He's swearing a lot, isn't he?
Ours just
Kind of like
running
me.
around. Just got a call from a pal, so they're about 215 killed. They simply rolled ours out.
It shouldn't be
hard.
funny, but it's just
Made
funny.
their point. What the ours were hoping for in there? That they'll run away themselves? Hope to scare them away? Lots of people so bad they can't be ID'd. There were no foot soldiers on the American side. They simply our convoy
What is
with
going on?
artillery. When the battle ended early next
Oh, that was
morning,
fucking
there was
funny.
nothing left of the convoy of vehicles. All combat vehicles have been destroyed, with the exception of a single battle tank and armored personnel carrier. Of approximately 500 Russian and Syrian attackers, at least 200 were killed or wounded. One of the mercenaries later reported that in some places they found solidified melted sand and gun barrels bent from the heat.
Whoa.
There were no casualties on the American side and no reports of damaged aircraft. Only one of the SDF
So it was
soldiers in the
flawless
base of the oil
victory.
field was wounded by Russian fire, but survived.
Right.
The incident sparked outrage on both Russian and Syrian sides, but since the Americans had repeatedly
What?
reassured themselves through the Russian officials, they could not be blamed.
Yeah, like,
According
if
to
you're gonna
intercepted
attack
phone
them,
calls
then
between the leader of Wagner and Russian ministers,
What
the
the fuck
attack
do you
was even
expect,
said
man?
to be an order from Moscow. For Wagner Group fighters, the Battle
how
of
does that
Conical
matter,
Fields
though?
went
I don't
down in
understand.
history as Red February and was one of their most humiliating engagements. At least some of them received a medal specially made for this event. It shows a Russian soldier surrounded by flames, heroically shooting at an American
And
Apache
Apaches.
helicopter.
Oh my.
A scene that probably never took place in this way.
Yeah. They just got
The
blown
Syrian
up. They just
Democratic
blew up.
Forces and their American allies had successfully defended the base at the oil field.
I
and
doubt they even
continued to
saw their
fortify.
Apaches, man.
The demonstration of their superior air power was meant to be a warning to any hostile forces not to mess with the wrong people. Interestingly, when Syrian and Russian fighters gathered in the area again about a month later, the Americans once more contacted the Russian commander in charge. This time, it was not long after the end of the phone call that the entire Russian-Syrian fighting force hastily withdrew.
Oh shit. Man, that was a banger video. Damn. I really enjoyed that. Cut to the chase, said the facts, quoted them with a pretty funny and entertaining way, I thought at least. You know, what do you expect though? Like, you're gonna initiate an attack on an oil facility, whatever the he really called it, I don't remember. And if you're in Syria and there's a spot where there's oil that's, you know, gathering up, you should know that it's like a 99% chance that it's America holding that shit down. That's the fucking reason they're there, man. What went through their minds? Like, wow, we're 500 people, we can take this easily. And then he said there it was an order from Moscow, but what the fuck was going through their heads? Like, hello? You can't just, stroll by and stroll through and say, oh, we'll just take this spot. Which is probably something to do with Putin and, his way of doing things, I would assume. But that was a death sentence. For sure. There was no other way of stuff happening. There was no other outcome, I would say. I think that was going to happen in every single universe and reality that exists out there, if you believe in that sort of dimension bullshit. Like, that was going to happen. But yeah, if you did enjoy this video as much as I did, alright, be sure to like the video as always, and subscribe to the channel if you have nothing to do and you're bored. Thank you for watching, and as always, I will see you, hopefully, in my next video, if you'd, like that. See you lot later.